tried to be a normal talk show once. Worst 2 minutes of our lives. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
What if I told you that there was a company called Palantir, and their entire existence was to hear your whispers so they could predict what you would do next? Now, what if I told you it was backed by the founder of PayPal and the CIA? What if I told you Palantir was quietly connected to your bank statements, social media, medical records, and a lot more? Then what if I told you their entire purpose was to understand and blueprint your life so they could predict exactly what you do next? If you want to know what that's called, it's called behavior surveillance, like that grocery receipt from the time you went to the store at 11 p.m. We can't forget about that sudden change in your jogging pattern outside. They won't. Or your 3 a.m. Google search. You see, Palantir sends your personality anomalies directly to the government because you unknowingly gave them that right in the terms and agreements that you didn't read. Palantir isn't just surveillance, it's predictive governance. Control the data, control the decisions. Well, at that point, you can basically control anyone without them knowing that you're doing so. Palantir wasn't profitable for the first 17 years, and now their net worth is the same as Bank of America. And like I said, you gave them this ability when you did terms and agreements and didn't read it, gym memberships, and most of the smart devices that are in your home. Palantir is no longer a company. It is now a digital nervous system that takes care of the oh so fragile and insecure American people. The next time your thoughts shift or a news cycle tells you what to believe, ask yourself, is this really my decision?
Wow. You know, that's one of the best clips I heard on Palantir. What it actually does, what it's doing, no one's stopping it. So I had to play that for you. And welcome to the episode 8071 of What the Hell is Going On in America on the Kate Daly Show. Today, it's just me. And of course, I can't wait for you to text in, call in, send a comment. If you're looking at this live on Facebook, if you're you can go to the Kate Daly Show on Facebook and watch it now too. And of course, YouTube, I think X, Rumble, who knows where I'm at today. You never know. So censorship is real. So you just never know. All right. So I welcome you. I've got a lot to go over. And the Clintons, in the hot seat today, but not exactly a hot seat. And I want to go there first because I know a lot of people were thinking that something was going to happen to them. It will never happen to them. So let me show you something kind of funny. So Hillary, goes to, our Republican committee, to discuss all of this, and of course, despite the 26 logged flights that they're showing as evidence that her husband was on, she denied knowing anything. So more public drama being carried out for you and I. And that's really what it's about. It's just about public drama. And I'll show you why. So Hillary, okay, this was one of the mainstream news articles today. Hillary Clinton demands Trump quizzed under oath over Epstein after heinous claims. So it went on to say this. Hillary Clinton referred to claims the U.S. Department of Justice withheld documents relating to Donald Trump being involved in heinous crimes in an opening statement to the House Oversight Committee. Now, she's speaking to the House Oversight Committee, but she's telling them that they have to get to the bottom of the allegations with Trump. So I was kind of laughing because, I'm sorry, who is Hillary? Why is she demanding? She is not even presently in politics. I just thought it was funny that this article didn't even question that. I mean, just not even a question. It was Hillary demands this. She has connections to Epstein's former girlfriend, Maxwell, through the Clinton Foundation, of course, and was a guest at her daughter's wedding that we all paid for. But doesn't know a thing and wants Trump, she wants it to be about Trump, 24/7. And I was just dying laughing going, I'm sorry, has anyone questioned why Hillary's allowed to go in and demand anything? Who is she? She's not even a person anymore, but she makes the headlines. She makes the headlines. She's not even in office. She still makes the headlines. It's just kind of amazing, actually. I mean, I'm just always surprised, not surprised, surprised / not surprised at the way that they talk about this in the press as if she has any kind of role whatsoever. So, I had to go there. But speaking of the Clintons, I wanted to bring something up because I did find this fascinating, and it actually goes from the SO2 address that we just had, and then I'm going to do a side-by-side with Clinton, okay? Clinton. So, by the way, if you're wondering what Monaco was all about in the Clinton years, how can we forget? That was a distraction for selling secrets to China, number one, giving them a lot of stuff. And then also just a lot of the dirty deeds that were happening in the White House at the time. It was just cover of a distraction. It really wasn't more than that, by the way. But I thought it was kind of interesting because if you go back and you look at all the distractions that they throw out, even the Epstein stuff is kind of a distraction because I think they changed a lot of the things. And of course, you're never going to get to the bottom of all the evil, but it's it's to keep our minds occupied, right? So I want to give you, this is from the SO2 address compared to what Clinton said, and Trump and him are both talking about immigration. Here we go.
Statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws.
Really? You could never tell.
Statement,
That's interesting. Okay, so this is what I wanted to point out. So the same things are being said with every administration. Okay. So Obama said the same things before he got in, and well, not before he got in, when he gave his SO2, but also before when he was campaigning, said the same things. Okay. They all do. Okay. So when you're looking at government, look at it as a whole. They're all claiming we want to get rid of those illegals, which we should. Okay. Because you shouldn't have somebody that's illegal in the country. Okay. But I want to bring this up to you because here's another added insight for all of you that I think is important when you're going to add context to all of this. And why are they always talking the same about it, and yet nothing ever happens? Doesn't that ever surprise you at all? I'm sure it does. And I'm sure that you maybe have figured out maybe a reason why, but let me go back to this. Okay. So based on historical data back in the 2000s, there were about 250 detention sites. Okay. About 250. All right. Now that's a lot. Okay. Back in 2007 to 2009, they bumped it up to 363 detention sites. Okay. To hold people. So then as early as 2025, they say they're up to 389. But by the way, if you go back to 2007, they were also saying there were 960 sites because there were differing kinds of sites. So as this climbs in the 300s from 250, then you get to 263, then you get to last year 289, there were also reports of way more detention sites going up that were just a different kind or more privatized. So there's really, when you go into mainstream to try and find the numbers conflict with each other anyway because of the different types of detention centers. Okay. So all right. So then as of 2026, then it goes up there. They were building this year, they're building 8 large scale mega centers that are going to hold about 7,000 to 10,000 individuals. Okay. So these are intended to serve as primary locations for rapid removal operations. Okay. And then 16 regional processing centers. So this year, ICE is planning to buy and convert 16 warehouses into regional processing centers, okay? 1,500 detainees each. Then you get into total capacity goal with these new ones and also 10 existing turnkey facilities similar to this size. That is almost 100,000 new places to sleep for illegals, okay? By November 2026. Now, they're spending at least $38 billion on this, okay, for detention and processing. Now, the leftists don't want anybody to leave the country. So I'm not that, okay? So what I want to point out is let's go back then to the 1970s. What did we do, okay? So when you go back, let's go back for a second to the 1970s. So the detention system was really, really small. And the system itself held fewer than 3,000 people, okay, in a single day. Think about that. They hardly had anywhere for them to stay, okay? So then if you go back to this time, like the 1950s to 1975, this was Operation Wetback, okay? And it was kind of like this mass expulsion. But what they did was 90% of the people that were caught, right, were referred to as voluntary departure. And so what they would say is, okay, you can either face criminal justice system and our laws saying that you're illegal here and we can prosecute you, or you can just leave. So there was no need to then house everybody. Okay. Now, if you're kind of like interesting because you hadn't heard that before, okay. So this is what they used to say was, well, this was cost saving. And they would say this minimized detention related expenses and reduce the number of immigration hearings. Because why? Because when you're an illegal, you can basically say, we're going to prosecute you. That we're not just giving you a hearing to hear your case because you illegally came in the country. So go away and then come back legally. Okay. So there wasn't a system by which we had to basically give them our legal system to protect them, but rather get them out of the country, which was the right thing to do. Okay. That was how it should have been done. You came here illegally. We are now just going to let you leave, right? Go away, and we won't criminally prosecute you. Okay. Now, could we criminally have prosecuted them? Sure. But it was a great way to save money in having to do that, right? And give them any more time in the USA and get them out of the USA and then tell them to come back legally. So if you're wondering what changed, like when this changed, it changed when when Reagan was in. When in it shot up in the late 70s, early 80s to 97, right? We had 97% of the illegals just telling them they had to go, okay? And they did, because we told them, we marched them to the border and it's like, goodbye. So in 1981, the Reagan administration initiated the first major investment into permanent long-term detention infrastructure for the Haiti immigrants at the time. Okay. Illegals, not illegals. Okay. When you come in the country, It's illegal, but they were calling it immigrants because they were coming over here for refuge. Okay. So basically in 1996 under Clinton, okay, he's giving that speech. He's saying, oh yes, we don't want you, and we want laws to govern this country. It was a huge amount of BS coming out of the mouth of Clinton, because Clinton is more theater than anything. Hillary was his handler. They were both CIA from the very beginning. And so he's out there giving this speech that's written for him. He's buddies with the Bushes, actually, and for a long time before he was ever president. And here we are with when Reagan was in, Reagan was more like the show pony and Bush was running the show. Okay, Bush, Mr. New World Order. So it doesn't surprise me that all of this changed under Reagan, because Reagan wasn't really as president as people think he was. Okay, so he had the people under him running the show. All right. So, and of course, the deep state behind them running the show. So they have this change. And because we have a Republican president, we're very complacent to this change. We're not on our guard. Okay. We're not saying, oh, hey, as conservatives, wait a minute, what are we doing? Why are we making this shift? We're getting people out of the country successfully. What's happening here? And so they, by the 1996, they had the Anti-Terrorism Effective Death Penalty Act that expanded detention, expanded it, and then post 2000, this is when we had the increased use of stipulated removal orders. Okay, and so we didn't really, at that point, we just started building these things like crazy. And we had about 250 detention centers, whereas they were never there in the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s. Okay. So basically, if you were looking at the news last summer, okay, you guys remember this article? There was it was in August of 2025. Okay. So Trump just became president, and we're looking at the mystery surrounding the $1.2 billion Army contract to build huge detention camp in the Texas desert. And so this was kind of interesting. It was this contract awarded. It was awarded to, let me think of the name of this acquisition company. It was really strange. It was a weird acquisition name. Anyway, I'll get to it in just a second. Acquisition Logistics or whatever. And so it selected them, the Pentagon, because they're based in Virginia. So not really a selection, but maybe a manufacturing of a company to do this. And then there's been a lot of hush hush around it. It's been very strange. So we have more and more of these facilities going up in the next, over the next 3 years, they are due to expand even further into these detention centers and camps and all these different things. For what they're saying is it's for the illegals. But my point today on the insights that we can all glean from this is, okay, so what if they kept those borders open this whole time, okay, to build those facilities right under our noses, under the guise that all these illegals have a place to go? Okay, so now I want you to think back on the ICE raids. Okay, so leftists love ICE raids, right? We've got a lot of paid protesters out there on the left, but for the ICE thing. But think about the ICE thing as the theater, okay? And so if you're really looking at it, it's only been in a couple of different cities. It isn't all over the place all the time. Those aren't happening everywhere, okay? So they focus in on California and on Minnesota, and they basically build up this ICE raid. How dare they do this to people? How dare they treat people like this? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So they're trying. And of course, a murder happens, which was a false flag, but a murder happens. Okay. And Alex Preddy, okay, that case. And oh my gosh. And so what are they doing? Protests all over the country. Even teachers getting the elementary kids out to talk about the ICE raids, okay, and so forth. And so I think it's all drama. And what's fascinating about it is that no one says I don't hear anyone ever saying, well, if this is happening in Minnesota and in California where they've really concentrated the press on it, then why isn't it happening everywhere? Why aren't we seeing it in the headlines every day, everywhere? We're not, right? So kind of interesting as this just weirdness is going on with this, because we're not going back to voluntary expulsion. Why didn't Trump go back to voluntary expulsion when it worked so well? Ask yourself that. Okay, this show is about getting to the truth and what the hell is going on. It isn't about propping up one party over another. So ask yourself, why in the world haven't we gone back to that? Why are we housing these people? What's the answer to that? Okay. All right, I'll take a caller. I'm game. Okay. And you can call in 435-680-2503. Okay. All right, caller. Go for it.
Well, good reason is he's one of 4 people out of 800 billion or whatever, 600 billion there in the world that has caused or contributed to the illegal immigration. But here's some very important points here. You don't see any film, you don't see any cameras, you don't see any reporters when these detainees are deported and being dropped off. Vietnam War and the wars, you have cameramen right in the battles. They're not showing them. What we're seeing, the reports are they're detaining, but they're not deporting them. The other thing I think what's probably happening, and I'm not, of course, sure on this, they're priming the pump. Well, all these detention centers, they're priming the pump, getting them operational, so they can, and establishing them for us, for the patriots. They come after and they use that army that's been illegally brought in here and emptying the jails. Let me talk about that a second. What we see going on, you're not hearing about this. You know, the Republicans and Democrats, whether it's Bush or it's Trump or it's Obama or Biden, have not just keep sending budgets to the Congress. They keep passing, they keep funding, giving illegals a huge fortune of benefits. They're still getting free medical care. They're still getting outright welfare, getting cell phones. They're getting education, just a huge number of benefits, and they won't stop it. And then they, you know, Chris Ammonder's show in the middle of Trump administration, she said they're still paying to advertise down there to come up here and get all these free goodies. So
Got it.
Yeah, and so back to the jails. That's another benefit, because what they've been doing is emptying the jails of illegal or violent criminals. So it's another benefit. You come up here, even if you commit a crime, unlike Americans, we'll just let you go back. And, you know, between, you mentioned the 70s, between the 1970s and 1990s, there was a quadrupling, fourth increase in illegal immigration. We have the greatest legal immigration of any nation by far. And then some reports, all the other nations of the world combined.
Yes,
so
we do.
This is all planned for something very nefarious.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Bingo on that too, because I think it's very much about building places for people like you and I. This isn't about housing immigrants. I mean, every time we call them immigrants or it's like calling somebody homeless unhoused, I'm like, come on with the verbiage. Look, when you come in the country illegally, you're illegal. So why are we not sending them away? Why are we not bringing them past the border and dropping them off? I mean, this is getting ridiculous because we as Americans never really think about what's being built right under our noses, as everybody is talking about the Epstein files, which the Epstein files are, it's important to know the evil going on in this country. It's important to understand it. But what they're really trying to do is really go with the defeatist, you can't do anything about it. Look at Hillary. She's on the stand and she's not even in politics anymore. She's able to go in and demand things and actually just basically say nothing. And so everyone was waiting for today with bated breath, and it's like, yeah, and nothing happened. And of course, nothing will happen. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hey, Kate.
Hi.
I was just had a thought about these detention centers because for the last, I'd say 5-6 years.
Mhm.
I think unbeknownst to a lot of individuals around different communities throughout the country, but especially in Utah,
Yes.
there's been a real big push for the state in Utah anyway, to actually have the counties have federal prisons.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you remember when they rebuilt the state prison in Utah,
Mhm.
they took it away from the point of the mountain,
Yep.
but they decreased the size of that state prison. Now, why in the world, if we have all these
Mhm.
problems,
Mhm.
would you take a state prison and make it smaller when you're building a brand new one? Okay.
Bingo.
So about 8 years ago,
Mhm.
the state of Utah decided to incorporate a California policy, yeehaw,
Mhm.
called the Justice Reformation Initiative.
Mhm.
And the whole purpose of that, from my understanding, is that they take crimes and they decrease the severity. So then you have less people in prison
Mhm.
for things like drug,
Yeah.
minor infractions type of a
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, people, when you talked to officers or law enforcement, they were extremely frustrated because it ended up tying their hands and not allowing people to get the help that they needed in those circumstances where it would have been beneficial for them to actually have a penalty severe enough
Mhm.
that they would
Mhm.
seek help,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So all of that was culminated back then. And then when we had the prison move, then you've got all of this legislative people telling the county people,
Mhm.
hey, by the way, not only are we going to give you federal inmates,
Mhm.
but we're going to force you that you have to have a certain standard in your prison. And if you don't have it, then your community has to pony up the funds to build that federal prison that we're mandating that you have.
Right.
And those federal prisons are going to be turned into housing centers for a lot of people who are not agreeing with the narrative.
Bingo.
And they're in your backyard because they're in your county. And every single county is now being forced to build their own prison to house themselves down the road.
Yes, a lot of the money was in the CARES Act. Biden and Hormala, they were all over the place talking about this and hyping it up and giving the money out and everything else. And cities everywhere, stupid counties with stupid individuals that lead the counties were like, yay, money, instead of realizing that they're building the mechanisms for future prisons for Americans.
Well, here's the other kicker, Kate. A lot of these really, really small rural counties didn't get the money because they said, oh, we're going to be all virtuous. So we're going to give the CARES money back, right?
Right.
So then what did they do? They turned around and they said, hey, you know what? We're going to increase your property tax, or we're going to increase and give you a consumption tax to pay for that.
Yep. You're right.
So you're getting taxed both times to put yourself in prison.
It's amazing that it's happening right under our noses. But, they pick the city and the county people so they know that they're going to be idiotic enough. Sorry to be mean, but it's true. Idiotic enough that they don't see it. They won't even investigate.
But here's the guise of it. Even if they do investigate, they threaten them and they say, but your prison isn't up to code. So therefore we could sue because the prisoner gets more rights than the citizen. So they really, they go after them from every different angle to scare them so much that they agree to these things.
Amen, sister. Thank you. Really appreciate the call. Jeez. Boy, that's some great points. Thank you. Great points. Fantastic points. This show is about kind of understanding what the hell is going on. So I think I'm going to name the show that. What in the hell? Because we don't understand how the system is working against us. Sadly. And I want to say this statement, but here's the deal. I'm on the right. I'm like not on the right. I shouldn't say that because I'm just very conservative. Okay. And I love the Constitution, but I'm a person trying to see the truth of what's happening to us all the time. And I was reading this statement from Trump, and I just want you to hear this, but be thinking about theater, okay? Be thinking about if you were the deep state, what would you want to be said out there? And if you controlled Trump, what would you want Trump to do to get people engaged in more infighting, to keep their eyeballs off of you, the deep state? Okay. All right. So just listen to the language of this. Okay. So this was Trump's message out. So when you watch Low IQ, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, so I'm not going to disagree they're low IQ, but I just want you to hear this coming from him. Okay. When you watch Low IQ, Omar and Tlaib, as they screamed uncontrollably last night at the very elegant State of the Union, such an important and beautiful event, they had the bulging, bloodshot eyes of crazy people, lunatics, mentally deranged and sick, who frankly look like they should be institutionalized. When people can behave like that, and knowing they are crooked and corrupt politicians, so bad for our country, we should send them back from where they came as fast as possible. They can only damage the United States of America. They can do nothing to help it. They should actually get on a boat with Trump deranged Robert De Niro, another sick and demented person with who I believe an extremely low IQ, who has absolutely no idea of what he's doing or saying, some of which is seriously criminal. When I watched him break down in tears last night, much like a child would do, I realized that he may be even sicker than crazy Rosie O'Donnell, who is right now in Ireland trying to figure out how to come back into our beautiful United States. The only difference between De Niro and Rosie is that she is probably somewhat smarter than him, which isn't saying much. The good news is that America is now bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before, and it's driving them absolutely crazy. From President Donald J. Trump. Okay. Now, the deep state, let's just pretend you're the deep state for a moment. You don't want to point out what's not happening in our favor. Okay. And you don't want to point out the things that are going on right under our noses. You don't want to point out history or the Constitution or anything of that sort. You don't want to point out, I could go on and on, right? That we didn't do hardly anything with Doge, and that there was just a major distraction for about 6 months. And then we haven't really ousted the deep state, okay? Because we've just patted them into more government, right? And we're growing the things in government. So what do you do if you're the deep state? You have this kind of comment sent out so that now a person like me, because I'm looking at the people he's talking about, and I do agree with what he's saying. But as president, you could educate, inform, you could get rid of things, you could do all of these things. But this is the comment we get, right? So it's adding to the major theater that's happening in front of our faces. All of this is theater. So now Trump's going to say this, right? And it's very inflammatory, right? And then somebody's going to say this about that statement. And then somebody's going to say this about that statement. That's the news every day. That's what we get. We don't get, now we're going to have voluntary expulsion of all of these illegals so we don't have to prosecute them or house them. No, we're getting built-in housing and detention centers like in insane amounts. They're only upping it. Okay. So then, without context of knowing what we used to do in the past, on our right, people go, oh, well, that's a good move. Let's get them into a sort of jail, without realizing that if they're here illegally, we can just get rid of them. We can just not get rid of them death-wise, but get them off the land. Okay. So this is where some of the big disconnect comes in, because we're not being educated, we're not being informed, and we're not being told about how much liberty we're getting back, or what's happening, what's really happening to us. We're getting drama. And the drama is they had bulging, bloodshot eyes of crazy people, lunatics. Now, I'm not going to disagree, but why is this the statement? Why would you come out with this unless you just wanted to add to drama? See? So it's very, very interesting. Okay. So now I want to talk about, for just a moment, I want to go to Erica. Okay. And of course, we talked yesterday about her being at the SO2 address, and Trump said, I'm very proud to say that during my time in office, both first 4 years and in particular this last year, there's been this tremendous renewal in faith and religion and Christianity and belief in God. Now, he said this last year. Okay. Remember how I said before Trump was going in that the deep state would allow and put Trump back in because they needed us to be very complacent for what was going to be happening to us. Okay. And that one of the other reasons was that they were going to utilize Christianity against us at some point. They were going to manipulate Christianity, and they were going to do it through Trump, because with that weird false flag event of the shooting, okay, where we never heard another word about that perpetrator, but that the patsy on Trump, that I said at the time, and I got a lot of flack for it, but I said at the time, I go, so what they're doing is creating martyrdom because they want us to basically see it as God has prevailed and God saved his life. And so now we champion God and we vote for Trump. And now the deep state will take a long break from getting into our elections because we know that they gave it to Biden. So, but now they're not going to be involved. And now our vote is going to prevail somehow and some way. And our voting is going to matter. And now the deep state can't put somebody in. And I was like, okay, so this is what I was trying to say. And even though it didn't make sense, it was going to be the martyrdom that was going to inject itself into a brand new sort of surge, if you would, in Christianity. Okay. Now I'm a Christian. And so it's hard to say all this to somebody unless you realize what my point is and why I'm saying what I'm saying. Because one, they put Trump in. We didn't vote him in. They put him in. Okay. But they built up the narrative to get us to believe that we were having this huge surge in Christianity. Then he went on to say, and some of it was real because people really did think that he, by the grace of God, God protected him, and therefore he is ordained by God to be a president. Okay. Now the deep state, remember, runs the show. So all this drama. Okay. And so then he said, looking at Erica, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk. Okay. So then he went on to say, so Charlie, who was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred for his belief, because he's talking about Christianity. So he's saying that he was martyred for Christianity. His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Okay. So it's odd because I've said again and again that we don't realize, if you read the scriptures, you understand that Christians will be not very liked. Okay. And I think that this is truly the beginning of that. As far as this goes, that a lot of manipulators will be sent in to manipulate Christianity and to manipulate its messaging. Okay. And that we're going to have a world of hurt from that. But look at the drama going on. So I also wanted to point out one more comment that was made, because this was in the news and I've seen this more and more. And this is just kind of a side note to what I'm saying. But they were talking about Charlie Kirk, and it was this. This is what the news said, and I'll give it to you word for word. And you tell me what's wrong with this statement, okay? Charlie Kirk was fatally struck by a rooftop sniper, now identified as Tyler James Robinson, inside the Utah Valley University campus on September 10th, 2025. What word is missing? I'll give you 2 seconds. How about allegedly? There hasn't even been a trial yet. Okay. There hasn't even been a picture of Tyler James Robinson on the roof. They just showed a picture of a man running. Okay. But now the news, instead of saying allegedly, now the news is just telling you the narrative of what happened. That's really crazy. This isn't the first time I've seen this. Charlie, like as a fact, already convicted, right? The patsy already convicted in this false flag. Charlie Kirk was fatally struck by a rooftop sniper, now identified as Tyler James Robinson. I was like, wow, that's bold. That's bold considering there hasn't even been a trial. Usually the news would honestly say it was alleged, right? Up until somebody was convicted. They really want you to buy that Tyler Robinson did this. And I mean bad, because they're cramming it down your friggin' throat is really what they're doing. So I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was really odd. It was strange. The whole thing around Erica is strange, but it was strange. Now, I also, because we're on this subject, want to tell you a little bit as far as Erica goes. So Glenn Beck and Dan Bongino, I actually think they took Dan Bongino out of the role of assistant FBI and put him in back as a podcast guy because they really wanted the help of their own to shore up narratives. Yeah, I do think that for sure. I think that there were some missed opportunities to be able to get in there and make sure that we had enough people making the narratives very concrete on our right. Okay. Because we know that both sides of the media are pretty much bought. So in telling you this, I'm just saying that now for the record, they say there are documents linked from Turning Point that talk about you need to talk about Candace Owens in this way, say she's evil and demonic. And it was interesting that Dan Bongino came out and basically was saying that. I mean, he went on a tirade about Candace. Okay. Now, why would you do that? Okay. Why would you focus on Candace? Why would you focus your tirade on her? Why not just ignore if you don't like what she's saying? Okay. Then Glenn Beck came out with a similar, like, this is why I'm not, addresses the attacks on Erica. Well, no one was attacking her. They were just asking questions about her and noticing strange behavior. Okay. So all the comments, when I was looking through the comments on his post, it was like everyone was siding with Candace. It was really strange. And so people were like, attacks or truths, or is asking questions now attacking? Like, what are you talking about? Why are you on this train too? It's very odd. But I just want to say, if you look at who's funding who, Candace is still funded by a lot of billionaires. Okay. And I'm just talking about drama right now. There's a lot of drama going back and forth, and they want to divide the conservatives into camps. And they also don't want people asking questions. So they're going to demonize that. Okay. And so she's kind of being used as the tool that says, don't ask questions or everyone is going to jump down your throat and call you an evil, demonic, whatever. So don't ask questions. Okay. So there's a lot of theater going on, And I just wanted for people to be able to recognize what's going on, because it's just insidious. It really is. And you almost just can't understand how in the world this drama plays out so heavily without people noticing, but it does. Okay, so there was that. I also wanted to say that you're watching not only Hillary demand for for them to look at Trump, okay, instead of her. And who is she again? What role does she have to go in and demand a thing? But beyond that, you're going to see on repercussions is basically you're just going to see people resigning from their posts. So I mean, I can't make this stuff up. This is just getting crazy. So the posts are basically like, they can't be a person at said university anymore, or what were some of the other ones? I mean, it was just kind of funny. It was like keep the resignations coming. So basically, that's all you're going to see: resignations. You're not going to see prosecutions, right? With the Epstein, but you're seeing resignations like Lex Wagner, whatever his name is. You're not going to see anything come of that. Former Harvard president Larry Summers will fully resign from Ivy League over Jeff Epstein ties. So they're trying to make it look like, see, there's a cost to associating with Epstein. And so this is all the little power play narratives for us to go, oh, see, something's being done. Something's being done, even though nothing's ever done about the evil, and we don't get to see the extent of the evil. So yes, Hillary is our generation's Jezebel. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I do. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. I also wanted to let you know the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, led by Tulsi, I had Tulsi on the show, signals that the U.S. will soon declassify files related to the alien and extraterrestrial life. I'm sorry. Do people believe that? Come on, you guys. Just like we're going to have some sort of reason why we can't make it to the moon again. I mean, it's been going on so long. I don't even know how many trips to the moon we have to take before that are canceled or foregone because we can't get there. This is the same thing. I mean, they are really playing the alien card. I just, oh boy. Anyway, so there's that. I just wanted to, again, the ridiculousness of the narratives. I can't even not laugh about it anymore because it's that sad. And, you know, all these different talk show hosts are going on and on about getting to the moon. And I'm like, yeah. And for the billionth time, we're saying that we can't go at the last minute. Always planned, always in the news for gazillion articles. And then at the very last minute, oh, we can't go. It was canceled because of, I don't know, somebody had a hangnail, you know, okay. The food wasn't right. The suits aren't warm enough. So NASA actually did give those reasons on several accounts of actually why we couldn't go back. So there's that. Anyway, I wanted to go there. And then I kind of wanted to go to a bigger point I wanted to make about what's going on. So, okay, let me play this for you. This is Netanyahu being asked about what he's reading. Okay. And you know, I'm not a fan of Netanyahu. He's just Mossad. So I don't trust Netanyahu. I know a lot of the Jewish people do. I don't know why, because I can't imagine with his background, but okay. So here is Netanyahu. I don't trust any government of any country, by the way. Okay, here we go.
We want to know what you're reading now.
What I'm reading?
Yeah.
It's a book.
A book
by a historian by the name of Barry Strauss.
Barry Strauss by Barry Strauss.
Against Rome.
Jews against Rome.
Jews against Rome.
What made you pick it up?
Well, we lost that one. I think we have to win the next one.
We lost that one and we have to win the next one. Jews versus Rome. Okay. So I just want to bring something up real quick for you. Okay. So the Club of Rome, just think about the Club of Rome for just a moment. Okay. Because a lot of people have wondered through the years. So he's reading a book, Jews versus Rome, the new Rome, and saying that he basically, you know, we lost the last, we're going to win this one. Okay. What does that really mean? What does that really mean? So think about the Club of Rome, think tank, United Nations, and the elite environmental movement, utilizing that. Okay. Members include George Soros, Henry Kissinger, Bill Gates, Brzezinski, Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. Okay. So there was a huge amount of people in this, in the deep state, with where they would meet at the club headquarters in Switzerland, right? To go over all their demented dreams of overpopulation, and of course generate the global warming hysteria. Okay, and so then the club admitted on their own website, Globe International, organization of senior legislators from the G20 countries. Okay, so their manifesto book, 1972, The Limits of Growth. Okay. And the book argued that because of dwindling resources, always shoving that environmentalist cause out there, the world, which is bogus, the world needs to embrace zero growth in economy and population. The book was given enormous media coverage, right? Sold 12 million copies. And the book is a lot of lies, of course, we know this, right? And the club members were basically out there saying, we've got to ride this global warming issue. Even if the theory of global warming is wrong, we'll be doing the right thing in terms of economic and environmental policy. Now, that was Michael Fumento, and he was a quoted Club of Rome member. Timothy Worth said this. Okay, so basically, we know we're writing this and it's not okay, but we're going to use it for policy. Okay. And so the real purpose of the Club of Rome was to establish this movement by utilizing all of the environmental BS so that they could basically construct the ultimate monopoly. Okay. Corporate communist world government. Okay. So then Gorbachev, Club of Rome member as well. Remember, they put everyone in to the spots, right, to run the countries that are all part of the club. Okay. The threat of environmental crisis will be the international disaster key that will unlock the new world order. And of course, communist Zionists, which are pretend Jews. So my effort is to protect the Jewish people because I don't mind the Jewish, but the Jewish people are fine. It's the government that sucks. It's the government that is driving all of this, the people in power. And that's who I think are the Zionists. But they represent, or do they represent, the left and right branches of Jewish Freemasonry, which is kind of an interesting thought, right? And so the conflict is basically a charade to justify this sort of world war that's happening. So there was a guy that was talking about Trump, and I wanted to kind of tell you kind of how the deep state works as far as through utilizing the people they put into office, which includes the president of the United States. We haven't had clean elections for so long, and I'm just hoping people realize that people are put in there for reasons. They're not just elected. So the reasons on this one is in saying the attack on Iran has already been decided and the negotiations are to pretend that Trump wants to avoid it. Because people keep coming to me and saying, well, this is about like, Trump is trying. Well, is it a fake fight being put out there so that we're absorbed into a fake fight, thinking that someone's fighting to say, wait a second here, what's going on and why are we so involved? But it's more of a fake fight. So I find that kind of interesting. Okay. And then I kind of want to talk about the kind of like what's coming. A little bit more on that because we've covered that a lot this year so far, but I do want to make some comments. But I first want to mention Cardio Miracle. I know I talk about it a lot because I really love it, and I already drank my bottle of it today, so I got to get some more of it today. But I drink it all day. It's helped me lose some significant weight, and I am telling you, when you can get your nutrition on board and you can get 20 times the fruits and vegetables of the products that are out there. That's what Cardio Miracle is. So it's beyond cardio. It's just like a miracle. So go ahead and please get it because you're feeding your body vitamin D and you're feeding your body all those nutrients. And it's huge. It's so important. Please try it out. It has a 30-day money back, so you can't lose anything. Okay. I love the taste of it. I actually crave it. But I tagged 2 doses and that was a game changer. And I absolutely love the nutrition. Okay. And I'm doing so much better than I was in the fall. So I just can't even tell you the difference it's made in my life. So go to cardiomiracle.com/Kate. Okay. Always use Kate as the code or /Kate. Okay. Because it's that important to get healthy right now. I'm all for make America healthy again, for the meaning of that, because we need all hands on deck and everyone seems to be fighting something right now. It's bizarre, right? Everyone's fighting like all these health issues and this crazy amount of health issues. And we've got to do something about it, you guys, because what does it do? It takes you away from this fight. It takes you away. And I don't want that to happen either. I want people to be true patriots of America and actually fight for America. So cardiomiracle.com, what a miracle product this has been in my life. So please go get some. It's going to be so worth it for you because I know you're not eating 20 servings of vegetables and fruits a day. Don't lie. I know you're not doing it. So this is a great way to restore health while you're doing that. And then also the nitric oxide that goes into the system is amazing. And you'll get a lot more, you won't feel as winded. You'll have more energy and it's pretty amazing. All right. So okay. All right. Now, one thing that Tucker did say that I have to give credit for, I'll always give credit where credit's due, is that he called the Zionists out as traitors because they're utilizing all of this for their gain. Okay. And the Zionists are liars. So they pretend to be Jewish, but they're not. And no one should want that. Not even the Jewish people, they should be against the Zionists. And sometimes it's really frustrating because I have Jewish friends and they are not. They just 100% trust the Jewish government. I'm like, yeah, you might not want to, because a lot's going down that is not organic. It is not what we think. And why would you ever trust government in this day and age? Why? I have no idea, but people do. And all right, so is discrediting the government part of this plan? And I will say that the plan, so people always ask, what the hell is going on? What's happening? Okay. So the discrediting is happening right now. When people ask me, I just don't get it. Like, it's so weird right now. It just feels so off right now. And the plan is for the vaccinated to finally realize what has been causing all of these problems, right? And create a state of anarchy. And then the global government rides in to restore order. I've said this several times on the show, but I don't know if it's really hitting home. This is why I think a lot more people are finally going, wow, we're seeing a lot of death at a young age. This is not okay. A lot of colon cancer, a lot of different things that didn't just crop up. Now, I've mentioned this on the show multiple times, but here's kind of how I think I need to lay it out even a little bit more for people to understand where it's headed, because then it's a little easier to see. Okay. So, one thing about the distractions right now are the distractions are to kind of keep people from calling out the death that's happening amongst people, or really figuring out the role that pharma has played, the role that the deep state has played in shoring up and manufacturing pharma to be such a hit on our health. Okay. So detriment to our health. And so as we see more people get cancers that are just completely bizarre and you're just like, well, how in the world did this person get this chronic illness or this cancer? And people realize vaccines are the cause. The public will be that outraged. And so will we get to, I hope this apathy right now turns into rage. I do, but it's all part of their plan, right? So basically to create chaos. And then in the wake of anarchy, as people finally figure out what has happened to them and what the government sold them in a complete box of rocks, the new global government emerges as the great savior. And that means transparency on the blockchain. That means they'll never be subject to it, but we will be. So, and I've said that before, because you guys remember back in 2022, CDC no longer recognizes the PCR test that they were cramming down everyone's throat, right, and up their nose. Okay. They were quietly going, oh yeah, we don't recognize that, and we don't endorse that anymore. But they made everybody go get one, right? You had to go get these PCR tests to travel and to do anything. And of course, through time, you're seeing all of the things that have happened. A lot of people lost people. And I did want to play this clip from Dr. Mary Bowden, who talked about comfort care. So I want to play this for a reason. Okay, here we go.
This doctor reviewed a chart herself. The hospital called it comfort care, but here's what they actually did.
During the pandemic, patients were euthanized in hospitals. I have done chart reviews where I have seen this. It's a friend of mine's brother that I reviewed the chart, and previously healthy, spiraled down the drain during COVID. And in his last minutes of life, they pushed insulin despite having a normal blood glucose level. They gave him insulin to drop his sugar, and they gave him morphine, and he was not in any pain. They documented no pain. So they gave him morphine and insulin to basically hasten his death. And I reported that to the medical board, and of course they did nothing. I actually called the police and filed a report, and nothing happened. But that's more common than people realize. It's already happening, and it's called comfort care, right? But yeah, the patient did not give consent. The patient's family did not give consent.
So when people are talking, there's been a lot of talk about euthanasia. And the one thing that I did want to say about euthanasia is that one thing that we're not understanding is how much of it just happened to us. Euthanasia, basically euthanizing people in the hospitals. So when we say, well, Canada is doing this and that, they even have a funeral parlor that I think from a couple of years ago that's saying we can just euthanize you at the funeral parlor and skip a step, and everyone can come and honor you. You can off yourself, and then it's basically a combined euthanasia and your funeral service all in one. So there's that. And as we start to kind of realize where we're at with this, as far as the culling of the population already, we're already in it, is my point. It's already happening. So glad I got my husband out alive, but I know many didn't. And I feel so bad about that, because I wish we could have helped more people during that time to realize what was actually happening. But let me just say this. With what's going on, will people get angry enough, do you think? Do you think people will finally realize what's been happening to us through the vaccine program, through all of it? Will people finally go, now I'm pissed. Now I realize that everyone's selected for government are selected for a reason, just to engage in drama every day, just to put on a play, and that nothing is happening in our favor. Nothing really. Okay. So the state of anarchy that they want, I do believe that is coming at some point, because they do have to present a solution to what they're creating right now. They're creating division. They're creating, with all their paid protesters and things like that on the payroll, they're paying a lot of people to get people so angry at each other. We have a lot of death happening. We have a lot of real murder going on. Okay. All disguised in comfort care. Okay. So all of these things since, I can't believe it's been 6 years since 2020, but all of these things happening and people finally starting to wake up. Okay. And where are we at right now? Where are we at right now? What are we doing right now? Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Hey there, Kate.
Hi.
Yeah. So, people will get angry enough, and they are right now, but they steer us at each other. Right. That's what the whole divide and conquer campaign is.
Yes.
That's what Trump was doing at the State of the Union. He did what he was put in there to do and be divisive, and you just have to watch yourself and your own reaction to the things he's saying. I'm like you, I'm conservative by nature, but I'm not I wouldn't call myself a Republican just because of all the things that we know that they do.
Right.
But you can't help yourself when you're watching this to say, yes, these liberals are crazy. And of course, they're playing a role as well. I just can't believe that there are people on the left that go along with it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I know. I'm with you. Thank you. I love the comment.
Sure.
Thank you. It's insanity. It really is. But when you realize why they're doing what they're doing and how they're doing it, and honestly, if I had to say the show is so much about sort of revealing both sides, because we're not seeing it as much as we should be. So still in the tribal mentality, many people still going to the drama, right? Immersed in the drama. And I'm like, get yourself out of the drama. See the drama for what it is. See the stage play. Like if you were going to kind of, give kind of a, for example on that, it's like the people that watch the soap opera and are sitting there crying when the person dies in the soap opera. And you're like, it's a soap opera. They're really alive. And but so immersed into the story, right? So angry and so this and so that. And what we really need to be seeing is all the death that's occurring. All of the euthanasia that happened right under our noses, but called something different. The amount of divisiveness happening, but not happening. So go across America, you won't see that level of divisiveness they're talking about, right? You see a lot of nice people. Go fly on an airplane. You're going to see a lot of nice people on an airplane, okay? We're not at each other's throats. We're not killing each other, but they want you to believe that. And then the building of facilities right under our noses. For what purpose? And why are we not making some choices here that could be very easily made, even when it comes to the immigration, the illegal topic? I don't want people here that are illegal. You can come through the country just like you would any other country and be legal. So do it that way. That is not a hard ask. Okay. So why are we not going back to the voluntary expulsion and just marching them out? You have to ask yourself why we're doing what we're doing right now. The data centers, I think, are a lie. They have money going into all the cities and counties that creates compliant state of county and city to the feds. And they do that through a thing called metropolitan cities. So they get the cities to go metropolitan. You have to hit a whole list of things. And then what happens is you're given the status, and then you can just work directly with the feds and bypass the states. There's lots of mechanisms going on and lots of things going on under our noses that aren't being talked about today because we're so absorbed into Hillary or the Epstein files. What we have to do is kind of get it through our thick skulls that the evil is so beyond evil. I don't even think we can fathom how much evil is going on right now. In fact, I would go as far as to say, and this is coming from me as a Christian, I would go as far as to say every evil on earth that can be done is being done right now. I don't actually think it gets more evil. I think that it's all there. I think that a lot of it's just hidden. Okay. So with that being said, what else is going on under our noses? What else is happening? Okay. And how immersed into these narratives are we getting instead of seeing the whole theater for what it is and realizing that we're being told some really good stories and a lot of drama between people, but it's not what we think it is. And that's one of the hardest things to get across to people that I talk to. And they don't want to hear it because they're so into the story. They can't let go of the story. Remove yourself from the story and then really look at the drama being tossed back and forth and back and forth. Okay. And if your anger is towards the people that the drama is pointing to all the time, okay, we're losing it because we're not realizing that the anger needs to be pointed at those running the country that have stolen our country, basically. And that's the deep state that controls the people in office, that basically gets to do what they want. And they are afraid of people in mass. They are afraid of us to some extent. So they're afraid of people figuring it out, is what they're really afraid of. And that Hollywood is such a mechanism of deceit and mechanism of the woke viewpoints and the crazy that they want to engage in. Hollywood is one of their biggest mechanisms. So it's all about money. Yes, I agree. Thank you for the comments. And, on the right and on the left, we really, really, really need to come to an understanding of the fakery. That's one of the biggest things I can say today. And not a lot of people are going to be saying it, sadly. So there you go. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to cover today. I think that's pretty much it. The fake alien scare. Oh, you guys. Oh, they're prepping us for Project Bluebeam like crazy right now. And there's more and more talk about outer space, and I just can't even tell you. Sometimes I just have to smile sometimes at the crazy part of what's happening, of what we're being shown right now. Go ahead, caller.
Greetings, Kate. I've got two issues. If you've got a minute. Do you have a minute?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, number one, Trump was talking about the SAVE Act and passing it, and he said, well, all you got to do is have a voter ID. Well, every county in the country has voter IDs already. But then he said you had to declare yourself to be a citizen. Okay, when you sign up to be a voter, they ask you that question. That's already on there. And what they're doing, this is a pledge of allegiance to a government. What they're doing is trying to force everybody into these contracts, basically so they can control you. Now, there's fixing to be the same mentality. I hear rumors of it and mentions of it on these other talk show hosts where they're talking about we need to have an official Christian religion for the United States because this was framed as a Christian country as opposed to the First Amendment. And if you ever are railroaded into prison,
right,
the first thing they're going to ask you is, what is your religion? They want to put you in a box, no matter what religion. If you claim a religion, and I'll tell you what to say. If you claim a religion, they're going to have some preacher out there that's going to say, oh yeah, it's not against our religion to take vaccinations or do whatever they want you to do. There will be somebody that will be a leader in that religion that will say, yes, we don't have a problem with that. And then they will force whatever they want upon you.
Interesting. But I don't think, I mean, what's funny is what a misdirection the voter ID thing really is, though, at its core. The misdirection is it has nothing to do with voter ID. It has everything to do with the software being tallied. So that's where they commandeer the election. So, but all focus is on voter ID. You've noticed that, right?
The elections are rigged through the tabulations, and the focus is on the wrong thing.
Yes, 100%. Thank you for the call. 100%. So it's such a problem because the misdirection's so thick. So here's somebody commenting on YouTube. Okay. And I don't mean to point you out, but I'm going to use you as an example. Okay. This guy, Matt, says, NATO and all of its imperialist BS. Just want to leave the country. Okay. This isn't about leaving the country. It was set up through an amazing constitution, and it's what the government's done to it, not the country. Okay, so it's what the government and the deep state have done to monopolize the government and to utilize it for profit gain and control. But the country itself and what it was founded on is beautiful and lasting, and it's all about limited government. So usually when I hear those kinds of statements or I see those kinds of statements, what I'm thinking is you're probably a leftist, because the leftists throw the whole thing together and then go, I'm leaving the country. You know what I'm like? But can you find a place to live that is more amazing than this as far as opportunity goes? Probably not, because this is what crashed how when people were born into wealth or not, and they had to stay that way. This country actually decimated that for a reason. So you could go back to our Constitution. You could say, man, if the government really went by the Constitution, what limited government would look like? Most people, you would not recognize the country if we had limited government and if we actually ran by our Constitution. Okay. And so this guy says, I want to live in a place that doesn't murder millions of people. I get that the government's doing that, but the country isn't. The government is doing that. So if we can see who's running the government, then let's be mad at that. Don't be mad at the very God-given Constitution that created this country in the first place. Okay. That's not where the anger goes. The anger goes to what they have done to it. And the people, if we were smart enough, we would band together because they're afraid of the people in numbers, because we're talking about a pretty small club. Now you're saying the country allows it. Not the country. Okay. The country is apathetic. The country is ill-informed. The country is uneducated in what's been going on because of a lot of brainwashing. Yes, I agree with that. But it's the government, it's the intelligence agencies that are doing this. So be angry at that. Okay. I've been to other countries and I do always want to come home. So that isn't the answer. The answer is wake people up here so that they can understand what's going on, so we can fight for this country to get back to what we know can happen with limited government, and how how the government has destroyed it, how the CIA has destroyed it, what they've done in our name, right? And this goes for every country with their government too, because we have put in puppets all over the world to work with us. And they're all part of the clubs because they're all chosen to be there and agents of the deep state. So they follow orders. And this is why they would go in, take out an elected person and put the new one in, right? They're putting in their guy. So don't ever be angry at the country. Be angry at the deep state. It just really pisses me off when people are like, this country. I'm like, no, let's get to the perpetrator. That's the whole point of pointing out the fakery, is that you get to the actual perpetrator. They want us to hate King Dingaling Biden or hate Trump or hate Obama or hate the Bushes or hate. It's all about who's actually running the show. Papa Bush was one that was running the show, but all the other ones, hate Clinton, love Clinton, whatever. Okay. It's always about personality. It is never about hate the deep state. So if we could get to that, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Because then people could work together to try to restore the country as best they could under the circumstances that we have right now. You get rid of the office of the internet running our elections, and you're 20 steps closer to restoring the country. The counties could do that county by county right now. They do have the power to do it. They could get rid of the software, but they won't do it. They're not doing it because they're too tied into the feds or they're illiterate. So, or both. So that's the problem that we face. Well, educate your local leaders, right? I tried to educate mine. Hasn't happened yet. We're working with some of the worst, but you know what? And I live in a conservative community in Utah, but let me just tell you, we're up against a lot to do that, but it can be done. See, there is a glimmer of hope. See, but nonetheless, be mad at who the real perpetrator is. Okay. And then this person says, we act like we are these brave, freedom-loving Americans that won't take tyranny. Look, I realize, right, that there's a lot of flag-waving Americans who still don't get it, who still don't understand the level of theater happening, okay? I understand it. The reason that the deep state put Trump back in, and I was able to call it out 2 years before, okay? The reason that is because number one, the deep state goes by certain plays. They do certain things, okay? And when they want war and when they want to put in something big, they're going to commandeer it on the right because the right is actually the majority of the country, not the leftists. But when they put in somebody on the right grows very complacent and they allow whatever's being done because they think they're being fought for. Okay? Big fat lie, but this is this is how manipulated we are. Okay? So then the right cheers whatever's happening because they feel like there's somebody that we're doing something right. And even though it could look bad, we're still doing something right. Okay? So this person says, I've traveled a lot and talked to people and heard many times how they loved Americans but hate our government. Didn't matter if we had a Dem or Rep president at the time. Okay, thank you, Kraft. I appreciate that. Yeah. Look, hate our government, hate the CIA, hate what they do to this country. It is all a show. I will agree with you, Matt. It is all a show. But we have something to fight for here because last time I checked, we still do have that Constitution. It is not gone yet. It's hanging by a thread, but it's not gone. So if it's not gone, there is still something to fight for, okay? Before this digital ID comes in, and then we're screwed. Because once that hits, once they come in as the savior after their Trojan horse, okay, guides everybody into thinking that the government's going to save them again, but next time it's going to be digital ID, there is no escaping that. And we're going to have to figure out how to work in communities that you can't be part of the system. Think about it this way. When you go on the internet and you create an account anywhere, are you being asked to verify it on your phone and verify it in your email and then verify it on your phone again? Okay. You create an account. They have to rubber stamp that it's you. Why is that? Why can't you just create an account and a password and let it be done? Because they're substantiating who you are. And that digital ID is being created every time you do that. Okay. And in the future, what that means is that you won't be able to create the account because you won't be able to have a phone service and you won't be able to actually go on and register that it's you. But right now they're getting us used to that. They're getting us used to verifying it's you. You know, it's like when you pay your utility bill. Does anyone else want to pay your utility bill that I'm aware of? Why do you have to go through 5 steps of verification and give a kidney every time you want to talk to your bank? The same thing applies there. This is all about getting you used to verification and getting you used to saying, yep, it's me. Yep, it's me. Yep, it's me. Here's some more intrusive information. Yep, it's me. And you think they're saving you from the hackers. No, they're not. No, they're not. It's a grooming. It's a grooming for digital ID. And then what happens is you become so reliant on ChatGPT for answering every question you have in the universe. You become reliant on all this online stuff that you're doing, right? You become so reliant, you can't leave the system at that point. You can't leave a digital system that you're dependent on. So what will you do? You'll join. You'll join because you can't figure out a way around it. You can't figure out how to do life without it. So you're going to join. They're creating your dependency right now. We don't even see it. But that's what's happening. And you can call me crazy, but guess what? I'm usually calling it out. I hate to say that because it makes me sound like I'm boasting. I'm not. It's just that when you study the deep state, you get to kind of see how they work. And after 38,000 hours of studying the deep state, I do know how they operate. So I do understand the level of fakery. I do. And I think it would scare the crap out of people if they really realized how much fakery is happening right now everywhere. So that's the show for today. But look, we're creating our dependency, and we have to realize that so that we realize what we can do to get out of it, right? And to actually conduct life so that you won't want to join that system when they come riding in with their digital ID savior, thing. So this is why they're fomenting a lot of violence. They're making it sound like we're a violent America. We're just violent. We just all hate each other. We're all terrible. And we all just want each other dead. It's like so not true. When was the last time you went to a sporting event where everyone was at each other's throats because you got all colors and all kinds? I'm going to guess it did not happen. I'm going to guess that it was a pretty nice event and that you didn't see a whole lot of fighting going on, because what they're saying actually isn't happening. But they want us to believe it is, because they want to get us to the point where we go, this nation's violent, this nation's crazy, this nation. No, the only thing that's violent, crazy, and insane are the intelligence agencies running the country. That is who's crazy. That is who is violent. That is who is causing all of this. The people aren't. The country isn't. So stay in this country and fight for it, because it's the best chance we have. Okay? It's the best opportunity we have. But we just have to wake up to it. We just have to see that level. Support shows like this. I hate saying this all the time, but it's very difficult to run the show because I'm not well funded by a corporation, by a company that controls what I say. And believe me, they control what you say. I've been in it long enough to know that it is very controlled. So certain talking points, okay? So because I'm not that, I can't run this show without you. If you want this show to continue, if you want us to reach more people, please donate to the show, because I can't do it by myself. Wish I could, but I can't. That's just the truth. Okay? So please go to my website, katedalleyradio.com, Kate Dalley, like Valley with a D, katedalleyradio.com. Donate if you care about freedom of speech. Because you know what, guys? I was asked about this morning, actually. I got a text about this. We're so close to losing freedom of speech because there's hardly anyone left that's honest in the media that it's scary. And there's only like maybe 1 or 2% that's left that is even honest and even trying. So I know people want to make money, and I know people want to spend it, and I know people want to hang on to every dime, and everyone wants free media. Free media is brainwashing media. So free media has only hurt us, right? You tune into a show on the radio, it seems free because it's on the radio or whatever the case may be, and you walk away going, see, I didn't have to pay for that. But what just happened to you is more brainwashing. So you're basically, it's not free because you're being brainwashed. So if you can listen to people that call things out or tell the truth, support that kind of media while you still can, because we're almost done. It's almost gone. And on the right, I wish people could really figure out that it's been gone for a long time, and that we have a lot of disinformation artists out there, and they're not going anywhere. They're only getting shored up. So if you want to help freedom of speech while you still can, and be able to get to the end of your life and say you did something for free speech, that you actually helped out, this is one way to do it, because I'm sitting here and I'm studying this stuff every day, and I'm willing to do it and want to do it. But people like me, and I don't care if it's me or somebody else that you found that tells the truth, help them, because I'm telling you that when you get somebody that wants to do it, because it's so dark, that they just need your help so they can tell the truth. That's all it comes down to. But there's so much apathy out there. Do you know how many people on our right have so much money, but they're just not willing to help? They're just not willing to help. Free speech just isn't it's just not on the list. That's going to be a big regret someday. It's truly going to be a big regret. And I think that's the saddest part. So I don't want to ever live in regret. I'll continue to do this as long as I can, but it's getting harder and harder. So I appreciate you. And those that have helped, thank you. Bottom of my heart, thank you. I have just loved that you were willing to step in and actually care. So I love that. But yeah, there's very few people that aren't shored up by big billionaire donors. So that are selling you a sack of lies. So, and a sack of drama on top of it, a healthy dose of drama. So, oh, you guys, it's bad out there. Okay. So, by the way, I just wanted to tell you as well. I forgot to announce this when I first came on, but I'm going to shift the show to Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It's going to be a lot easier to always be on the air Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, because of the fact that Monday is a lot of holidays and issues and things that happen. And if I travel, there's a couple times where I've been stuck traveling, and it's always hit on a Monday. So I hope that's okay with everybody. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you can tune in at 2 p.m. Mountain and 4 p.m. Eastern, and you can hear the show. And then I'll always mostly likely be there. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay. I just think it's going to be much easier. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And thanks for helping, because, I just don't want any regrets. I want to know we did it all. I want to know we did everything we could to expose what's happening and to get people to understand. That's just the mission. It's become my mission in life. So appreciate you guys. Thank you. All right, you guys, be faithful, be fearless. Find out why I say that. That comes from the year 2016. Be faithful, be fearless, and I will see you back here on Tuesday, okay? On Tuesday. So thanks, you guys. Appreciate you guys. Go to katedalleyradio.com and hit the sponsors, and then you get something for helping me stay on the air. I like that. There you go.